This is the Hub on Hollywood, an iHeartRadio podcast. I'm your co-host, James Rojas.
The other co-host, Jamie Blanco.
On this week's episode, Jamie talks to a special guest with a mission to help emerging screenwriters, producers, filmmakers all around the world, including in New England. We have that interview coming up. Disney's latest Marvel project, WonderMan. Step aside, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
WonderMan now streaming. Your first thoughts? And movies that get the job right, specifically in our own field of work. Us, our world of journalism. I'm sure we've had previous careers before then that maybe we can touch on and talk about. I used to be a waiter at I won't mention the restaurant.
Okay.
Only good things and great things to say about it, but
okay.
I won't mention it. I think I have in the past. But first, Jamie, we have to unfortunately start the podcast with some breaking news. Beloved and iconic actress Catherine O'Hara has passed away at 71 years old.
I can't believe this. I love her so much. She's a wonderful actress, a wonderful performer, wonderful human being. But yes, like you were saying, she's been in everything from Home Alone to Schitt's Creek, The Studio. What are some of these others?
Beetlejuice, The Last of Us. She appeared in the last season of The Last of Us, season 2. The Studio, which is produced by Seth Rogen, starring Seth Rogen. Great shows. She's never been in anything that's really been bad.
No.
Like, she knows what to do, what to pick, and her agent knows what to book her in as well, too. And so I was just about to leave to come here to record when my wife mentioned, she said, Catherine O'Hara, did you hear? And initially, automatically you say she died. And yeah. So 71 years old, TMZ reporting it as well as many other sources, but so far unclear of what happened, what cause of death. Maybe it was a brief illness that we're potentially hearing about.
Yeah, and it's such a shame because she was such a vibrant person. Yeah. And that dynamic personality of hers is what she brought to each and every role, not only on camera, but behind the scenes as well, James. The latest sequel to Beetlejuice was filmed in Vermont, here in New England, not that long ago. I was on set. I was a background extra on that, along with a lot of my other friends here in the industry in New England. And Catherine was so gracious.
I bet.
Hilarious. She would take the time in between takes and she would talk to the people in the background. She would make sure that we were okay. It was a really, really hot day and we were all dressed in black and super, like it was winter. So we were all in jackets and things like that. There were people who were kind of close to fainting and she was checking in with us. She's like, come on, guys, let's get this done for these poor people who are back here. And her and Winona were just joking with us. And once we'd wrapped for the day, just a wonderful, gracious, giving, hilarious human being. And it's just a real shame to hear that she's passed away. Yeah,
she most recently appeared in, aside from all these other projects, but she was also in the documentary for John Candy, I Like Me. And watching her and countless other comedians talk about John Candy and what it was like to work with him, and just seeing Catherine light up in that documentary talking about her friend John and just seeing, kind of going down the memory lane of their work together, work that, his legacy will live in perpetuity, as well as Catherine O'Hara's for sure as well. A couple years ago, I believe it was, did she get her star on the Walk of Fame, or did Macaulay Culkin get his star on the Walk of Fame? Because they were both, I think it may have been her, and Macaulay showed up to speak, and it was one of those moments where you see them both reunite. Yeah. I'm sure they have seen each other in years passing, but seeing them again in that moment, embracing each other, hugging each other, laughing and tearing up and getting emotional, it's incredible. Incredible performance that will last a lifetime. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so sad to see.
Best of wishes to her family and friends, and just very sad. Catherine O'Hara, 71 years old. Too young. That's too young.
Way too young. And I was actually going to bring up this next topic, before I learned about the news, but speaking about ages, at 80 years old, Ernie Hudson of Ghostbusters fame, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, countless voiceover projects and shows and movies he's worked on. He's 80 years old, but he recently went viral once again. I think it was about a year ago when he made an appearance on the red carpet, and he's just wearing like, you know, normal jeans and like a tight shirt, but just shows like he was like really, really buff and jacked.
Yeah.
And everybody was talking about like, how the heck is Ernie Hudson 79 years old? And now I think it was on the Today Show where he was a guest on, and he was talking about his workout routine, and he says that he tries to do 100 push-ups every single day. Not all
Every
at once.
day?
Not all at once, but throughout the day. So he'll wake up, do a set of push-ups, and then throughout the day take time eventually to do 100. And he says that, you know, it's all about staying flexible. At that age, you want to be flexible. He has a friend who is using a walker, and you know, you see somebody who's 80 years old using a walker.
You're like,
it's not too surprising. But he says, you know what, I don't want to be like that just yet. And so he does squats every day. He works out. He does weightlifting.
Yeah.
He does planking.
Oh my
so
goodness.
Ernie Hudson, killing it, rocking it
At 80 years old.
He looks like he's 55, like 60 most.
Wow.
But he looks fantastic.
How do you get there? Because, you know, we're in our 30s.
Yeah, mid-30s.
Right, exactly. Or early, who knows?
Yeah, of course.
I'm too tired. I feel like I'm just too tired to even do anything.
Well, he has several kids. I'm sure they're all full-grown adults by now. So he's not.
They're out of the house.
They're not. He's no longer in our stage of life where we have little ones running around and having to, you know, be taken care of. And,
I guess.
Yeah.
So you're saying we've got to wait.
My wife and
our kids are
my
in
wife and I
college.
had this joke is that when our daughter moves out, then we're going to get in shape. Then we're going to work out. So I think we're going to follow the Ernie Hudson.
Just 16 more years.
Regimen to get the physique
Sounds
at
good.
our peak. Exactly. But you know what's not peak? You know what's kind of mid, as the kids say?
If even.
If even, no cap. Darren Aronofsky, the director of such classics as Mother, I've just listed 5 before we just started. The Whale, Requiem for a Dream, countless other films. He's a great director. However, he's working on a new project that is ruffling some feathers, Jamie. My feathers, they're ruffled.
Oh.
They're ruffled.
Okay. Yeah.
Watch out. So
ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto. Because this great director is not using human beings to create his latest project.
That's right. And you hate to see it, you hate to say it, but it's happening. So as you may very well be aware, America is celebrating our 250th anniversary of us declaring our independence from the tyrannical governments of Britain this time, or that time. So we are looking at a series of short episodes that are going to be released on Time Magazine's YouTube page. And each episode is going to be centered around a historic key moment during the American Revolution. And the cool thing about it is that it will be released the day of the actual historical event. So
Of the centennial,
Yeah, so this past week or two episodes have been released, and they go, again, through historic key moments of the American Revolution. However, all the visuals used in this recreation is done with Google's DeepMind's generative AI video and imaging tools, again, creating the visuals for the series. Here's the kicker, Jamie.
What's the kicker? Because I feel like I've already been kicked.
Yeah.
But what's the kicker?
Here's a double kicker. But they are using SAG-AFTRA actors, union members, to do the voiceover work, to do the voice acting of it. So is that enough to forgive? To forgive?
No, it's not. Because you've shown me clips of this
Yes.
before we started talking. And it looks like AI.
The first 2 seconds of the video that I showed you, you were like, that looks so AI.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, you've got all these people in white wigs, and they all got the same face,
That
and the
glossy
same
glow,
expression,
that
and
kind of rubber glow to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of these
Sheen.
moments that are happening that are historic or whatever, but it looks fake because it is fake. It's created by a computer that has no emotion, and having actors voice these generative AI monstrosities does not improve the effect of this series and what it looks like.
Yeah.
And for me, James, it's insulting, and it feels like if they're not going to put the effort in to create something worth watching, something where they are recreating these key moments in history and actual human beings are putting their heart and soul into retelling this story of America, like, then why am I going to put the effort into watching it?
Why do you need any heart and soul when
It's
you have
garbage.
ones and zeros, Jamie?
It's garbage.
Ones and zeros are just as good. If you want to check it out, it's on YouTube, so it's free technically, but you may have to watch an ad. But the debut episode centers on George Washington raising the Continental Union flag in Somerville, just around the corner, over here in Somerville, Massachusetts.
I used to live there.
So that has the local angle. The second episode has Benjamin Franklin prodding a newly arrived Thomas Paine to give a voice to common sense. And yeah, the
common sense would have been
what do you
needed
think? What do you think?
in this.
What do you think Benjamin Franklin would think of AI? I'm not sure George Washington would have an opinion, but Benjamin Franklin, I feel like he would have an opinion on.
I feel like he would be on board with us. That this is not what we need. Humanity is what's being lost. You know, there's something just very special and important that's being lost in the creative process. And no, I don't think that's where AI needs to be. No, it doesn't. I think Ben would agree. Right, Ben? Thank you.
Right, Jamie. He said from beyond the grave.
Isn't his grave like down the street?
It's like below.
We'll go ask him.
It's below the iHeartRadio studio, actually.
We'll go ask him.
So Ben, just stomp twice.
Stop if you can hear
if
us.
you can hear us, and if you disapprove of this.
Right.
Yeah. But Jamie, one thing that you are not disapproving of is a new show on Disney Plus. It's not in theaters. It's a new series following the footsteps of WandaVision, of Agatha All Along. What was the other show? Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, and a bunch of other ones. But this one, I am delightfully surprised. WonderMan. WonderMan. That's not the actual
radioactive WonderMan.
Yeah, don't sue me for that one. But WonderMan on Disney Plus right now. I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed this.
It's getting good buzz from what I hear.
It's getting good buzz, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And what I love about it is that it's got heart, it's got soul, and it is the story of an actor and everything that goes into being an actor in the world of the MCU.
Interesting.
So
very meta.
Very meta, but in a not in your face, annoying kind of way, right? So just the overview really quickly. The show follows Hollywood actor Simon Williams, who is thrust into the world of superheroes as he gets powers of his own and becomes the new superhero WonderMan. Played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen. We've also got Ben Kingsley, reprising his
Sir
role.
Kingsley, isn't he? Is he a Sir?
Ben Kingsley.
Sir Benzie.
Sir Benzie. Reprising his MCU role as Trevor Slattery.
Yeah.
The eccentric, washed-up actor who played the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. He was the fake face of the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. And we sort of find him where he is now in the MCU, still washed up, managed to get himself out of prison after the snap, and is now at the mercy of the Department of Damage Control. They're like, either you go back to jail or you help us bring in these superheroes that we're looking for.
Interesting.
Right.
Why him? Is he special?
He's an actor.
Okay, so
he's an actor,
does he go undercover to
he
try to...
He goes undercover for them to try to bring these people in, and Simon is their target.
I like how he's a washed-up actor, but they're like, you're the best one we got. You're the best guy for the job, somehow.
But I've got to say this about Yahya. He is amazing. He is amazing in this. He is actually a good actor. And I love how they merged the universe of the MCU with our everyday lives. Like, it's just another dimension, right? So it opens with him as a day player on American Horror Story. And it's fantastic. It's been a long time since I've watched a show, James, where I was actually screaming at the screen, right? Because he's a day player. And this is minor spoilers. I mean, and he's landed the role already, and he gets on set, and he rehearses the scene, and they're getting ready to film it, and he's like, what about this? What if my character had this backstory in relation to your character, and that's why this is more important, you know? And the lead actress is like, oh yeah, that's fine. Let's give that a shot. And then to the director, well, you know, my character is this professor, and what if I actually stopped over here because I was reading this book and that book, and like he starts just getting way too in the weeds with it, and then pushing it. As an actor, right, who's been on many sets, I'm screaming at the TV. I'm like, no, stop. That's the director. You're not the director. And he's like, you know, and the director's telling him, well, we already lit this area, so we're just going to keep the blocking how it is. He's like, oh, well, we can move the lighting. No, you can't move the lighting. Do you know how much work it takes to set the lighting? And then you got to bring the stand-ins back in, and then you got to move all the lights and the people. And you're wasting time. You're wasting money. Like, you can't do that. And so I'm like screaming at the scene, this just very delicious sort of secondhand mortification, right? And ultimately, he gets fired.
Of course.
From the job.
So let me really quick ask, but I don't want to interrupt. But so this is the MCU. Is this like the main timeline universe? Main timeline universe, and,
to the extent that I understand.
And here they are kind of making like, okay, there are real superheroes in this world now, kind of like cops or firefighters. Now we're making superhero movies and TV shows.
Right.
That's basically it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And now they're just navigating. Now, I think in one of the trailers, this isn't a spoiler, but they said, you know, we're hiring non-superpowered people.
Right.
And he is, in fact, superpowered.
Right, and that's one of the other conflicts, is that he has these superpowers that he is suppressing, that he is hiding, so that he can be an actor. And I think it's just a fresh take on this sort of genre, because it's someone who has powers, who doesn't want them, who has a passion for a career and wants to do that career so badly, while kind of pushing everything aside.
Yeah.
So at the heart of this, it's a show about acting and the passion for acting and everything that goes into creating characters and creating stories and bringing that human element to the screen and everything that we love so much about storytelling and humanity and all of that, like that heart. This show has a ton of heart. And it's just sprinkled in with just superhero stuff all around.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So Ben Kingsley's character comes in and becomes a force in his life, and he's supposed to be like trying to get him arrested, right? He's supposed to be trying to bring him in, but ultimately every episode is sort of helping him closer to his goal, because they both love acting so much and are so passionate about it. And so it just has a lot of heart, unique characters, and I've watched the first two episodes, and both episodes I spent most of it screaming.
Is he that bad? Is he that bad at being an actor?
Great tension. It's not that he's being that bad at being an actor.
Not bad acting, but like, you know, you have to be good on the set.
Exactly. You have to be good at the set, and then his agent's yelling at him, and I was like, it's like, just send me audition. Damn it, just do it. Like, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, especially if you're in the film industry.
Yeah.
Very enjoyable.
So would you say that
Very
part,
accurate.
now we'll get to this topic and you know, at the end of the show, but would you say that's a very inaccurate thing that happens on a set, or does that happen from what you've seen?
Everything that I've seen so far is so accurate.
Even the pushiness.
So true. The pushiness, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens, and people get fired. People get kicked off set. Or you're shooting your self-tape, and you're having trouble shooting your self-tape, and you've got your little circle light at home, and it falls over, and you have to drive your crappy car off somewhere to try to get, you know, it's just, it's a beautiful little homage, and it's a beautiful little, I feel like it's a love letter sort of to acting and the process of that and being an actor, but very accurate so far that I've seen. Just beautifully done. Beautifully
Excellent.
done. So
Excellent. Well, check out WonderMan on Disney Plus right now.
Yes.
An actor's show.
yeah, an actor show, and also one last thing I wanted to mention: great cameos all throughout. You've got actors who are playing themselves, coming in every episode, and it's
Mark
really
Wahlberg comes
wonderful.
in, he's like,
kind of like Entourage.
Yeah.
I don't know about Marky Mark. I'm only 2 episodes in, so we'll see. We'll see.
Excellent. He's like, if I was a superhero, I would have prevented so many terrible things from happening. Something that he actually said once. But we won't get into it. But what we will get into is speaking about, actors shows, things that, make other people in the community feel very appreciated and supported, right?
So I had a wonderful conversation with a gentleman who we're going to introduce you to right now, David Rocchio, who is the founder and director of Story Labs. And like we've been talking about, that passion for filmmaking, that and bringing new voices, right, to the forefront. That's what his organization does. It's very, very difficult to get like new perspectives and new stories out right now, right? Everything is very corporate. It's all, what would you call it? A crapshoot, basically.
Sure.
But very, very difficult to get those kinds of stories out. And that's what this organization is dedicated towards, is bringing people who have those fresh ideas and perspectives, training them up, connecting them with industry leaders, and sort of creating a pipeline for those stories to be told. So without further ado, here's our interview with David Rocchio. All right, and we are joined by Mr. David Rocchio. He's the director of the Story Labs program. David, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. So your program, the Story Labs, you're a Vermont-based nonprofit supporting emerging and establishing screenwriters, filmmakers, and creatives. So tell us about this organization. You're not just the director, you're also the founder. Is that right?
Yes.
And
I
how do you
like,
help? How do
well,
you help artists develop?
I thought you were going to ask me about why I started it, but so I'll cycle to how we help. We look for people who, whether they're established or emerging, who need the support to develop their skills and projects. And we have participants who come from USC Peter Stark program, working on their second or third feature, but looking for some skill development or focus on a particular project. And we have people who we find from all walks of life. And we get participants from all over the globe. And it's a real joy to do the work we do. What we're trying to do is fill a gap in the US film and television industry, which is inexpensive support for artists trying to develop their work. I started the program in 2013. I was at the time developing my first feature, and through different programs, I was able to gain skills and confidence in the work I was doing, put teams together. And those were in Newfoundland, Berlin, other places in countries that have meaningful public support for filmmaking. So I started the project here in 2013, and first year we had 16 people, and now we work with 250 artists a year from around the globe.
That's incredible. So, talk to us a little bit about your story. So, you were a filmmaker, and now you're helping other filmmakers. What drew you, down that path?
Yeah, my story is more reflective of many of the people we work with who don't come from the film industry. I was an attorney, and I had a really wonderful career as a lawyer. And 16, 17 years ago, I decided to make a shift to do what I really wanted to do, which was to write and direct films. And that's still my passion. But I also am aware of the odds of any one film getting made. And so I started the program in 2013. And my intent was just to have something in New England that New England-based writers and filmmakers could be drawn to, and we'd have each other as support. But it took off and became something much more than that pretty quickly. And so I continue to work on my own craft, but I dedicate most of my time now to supporting the artists we work with through the programs.
And what are some of these programs? Because it seems like you're helping people who are not just, writing, but also producing. Like it seems like there's a lot of different angles here where artists can receive support from your program. So what are some of those programs and grants that are open and available now?
Our calendar, we try to create a process so somebody does the entire program with us. They come through from beginning with the narrative lab and in the end a writer's retreat, and then work to get projects market ready. Our anchor programs are the Stowe narrative labs. We run two of those, one in June and one in September. And those are intensive 4-day programs focused on who's the audience for what you're working for? How do you identify that audience? How are you going to take this project out into the industry? Focus on core story elements. And we're not in any way um, wed to any particular structure or form, but making sure that the artists have thought through structure and form and helping them understand how to best present that project in the industry. A lot of peer work, and they go through 4 rounds of tabletop exercises with industry mentors. And our industry mentors are all actively working in the industry at a high level. And so they gain great relationship opportunities there and also really good insights on their work. And so that's our anchor program. Each of those is about 50 participants, and there's 10 to 12 mentors at the program, and we're all in one tent. There's no divide between the mentors and the participants. So we work very hard to create an open community to those. From the Narrative Lab, people can do ongoing mentoring programs with any of our mentors, and we structure those programs with the artists and then connect them directly with the mentors. The next step would be one of our writers' retreats, and those are much smaller programs. They're about 20 people. We have had 21 or 22. We allow teams of 2. And those are much more expansive. While the narrative labs are very intense, the writers' retreats create time to write, reflect, and revise. They get 3 1-hour one-on-one script note meetings with 3 different industry mentors, and they should leave the retreat with at least the notes to develop a market-ready script. We run 2 long-form writing programs online. There's always a silver lining in adversity, and the pandemic taught us this fantastic tool of Zoom. So we run 2 long-form writing programs online, one for TV and one for film. And those are led by my colleague David Pope. And we bring in guests to work with us, like Derek Simons has done it with us several times. He wrote and show ran the Sinners. Mark Protasevich, who did Sugar. I'm trying to think who else has done it. But so we work with top level showrunners and writers on that program. The team from Bosch worked with us when Bosch was just wrapping, which was really super. And those are 12-week programs. And at the end of that, you will have a good, solid first draft and new skills and approaches you can use on projects. And then we do like working with creative producers, and we run producers labs. We do them in person, but we've moved them online this year so that more people can do it. It's obviously less of a time commitment and less expensive to drive to an in-person program. And those producers labs are for about 16 people working on their first or second micro budget to low budget feature. And there are other programs, but those are the core programs that we run.
Well, it sounds like a really incredible opportunity if you can get involved. How do you select your participants? Like, what are you looking for in the storytellers that you bring into your program?
So we do the selections through competitive application process. what we look for in the applicants in all cases is they have an interesting story. Their life has brought something that's got some energy, and they have a point of view. We look for at least the kernel of a good story. The lab you can apply with, a piece of paper and an idea, but you have to show you have the capacity to develop that, and you have a collaborative nature. Because filmmaking is, at the end of the day, there are very few people who can do the work without bringing in partners to work on all different aspects of the project, and a collaborative nature is really important. And we look for people from all walks of life. We work very hard to bring in people who, but for us, would not have their projects see the light of day.
And so why do you do this? Where did this mission come from? I know you talked a little bit about, this is so you got the help, to follow your own, create your own craft, and you wanted to bring that here. But what is it that is that spark? What is it that you're trying to put out into the world through what you're doing right now?
And so that's the question I ask myself every day. So it's a really good question. And at the highest level, story is a very powerful tool to generate understanding, empathy, of course, to entertain, and to get people to ask questions. Why do you do that? That sort of experience, cinematic experience, can be very powerful. Film, especially in the US, film and TV, have become tremendously driven by the business side. And I'm not against that. I understand that, but it's equity driven. So people invest expecting a return, which puts pressure on the product to be predictably successful, which it can't be. It's, at the end of the day, a very subjective process. So creating an environment that allows the artists to focus on the art, but be aware of the business side, I hope is leading to interesting stories getting out into the world. And I take a lot of positive energy from being able to help the artists. Getting any one particular project made is very hard. Nurturing a couple of hundred artists a year, you see things advance and turn into films and shows, and that's great.
And I feel like people complain, that there's not enough unique stories that are being told out, in the widest way, right? Out in the cinema and the feature films. Um, how many filmmakers would you say that you've all worked with so far, and where have some of their projects led to?
So we have several projects that are now in active development with production companies, and going to get made. One project, Kim Bartley just finished principal photography on a film she workshopped with us called Lemonade. And we are exactly trying to do what you described, which is create an ecosystem where independent film can get developed in a thoughtful way. In the US, it's trickier because we don't have public finance, but our work, especially, we run a really great writers retreat in Ireland in partnership with Screen Ireland every year. And we're starting this year a writers retreat in Croatia in partnership with
Wow.
the Croatian Audiovisual Center, which is their film office. And we're leaning into partnerships with public funding agencies. So for our international participants, work's getting made. In the US, we've got a lot of projects that are in development. We have a lot of writers who are now in writers' rooms. A lot of them are advancing other projects, if not the one, their passion project that they brought to us. And it's pretty rewarding.
And so, what would you say would be your biggest piece of advice for those up and coming artists who they don't maybe quite know where to go with it? Like, you've mentioned it's so difficult to get things made, and if you're like myself, or you just don't know where to start, what would be your best advice?
So it's very hard to make independent film now. If you can write something that is easy to shoot with a few characters and not demanding of a lot of other inputs. So only a few locations, no tremendous stunts, and you can think of a way to raise a small amount of money to make that. go out and make your film and find people who admire your vision and want to be part of your team. Doing programs like ours will create a little bit of credibility and introduce you to a broader community, and try as best you can to go to festivals that have a educational component and a market component. Take your short film out and bring it to festivals where you're going to meet other filmmakers, and just have your eyes and ears open to the potential when you meet people. Try to lean into yes as best you can. Um, and as you're developing your skills and developing your own work, be open to the idea of doing other things that can support you while you pursue your vision.
What are your favorite stories to tell?
My work,
Yeah.
I like writing about ordinary people who are confronted by something that's a little bit out of their strike zone, and they appreciate human irony and the human condition. And as they trip through whatever I've set in front of them, they have a little bit of a smile on their face and they're different in the end. I really try to write conversation stories. So when you leave the experience in a theater or sitting on your couch watching it, at the end you want to have a conversation about it.
I love that. I love that. I like telling stories where you're expressing something that words can't really get to, right? It's a feeling. It's something that's just, it's shared, it's a feeling, it's there, but the words don't quite do it, but the action does. I, that's my favorite kind of story to
And,
tell.
and, and we could now, I could talk to you about this now for an hour and a half. I have particular scenes in films in my head where nothing is said, or what is said has nothing to do with the emotion of what's going on. And that ability to show that in a way that
Hmm.
gets through to people is very powerful.
Love
There's a
it.
scene in Wings of Desire
Uh-huh.
where Peter Falk, the angel, is having a cigarette and a hot dog or a cup of coffee. And he's on Earth for the first time since he became an angel. And he's talking about there's nothing like this. It's an incredible scene.
I love it. I could go on and on too, but so what programs are open right now that people can apply for, and how can they do that?
Good questions. We have 4 open calls. Our producers labs, which are the 4-day programs designed for emerging creative producers, are open, and go to our website, stowstorylabs.org, and that is open. I think we're going to extend it. It's open, I think, till the 2nd of February, but I'm getting calls from people saying, Sundance just ended, blah, blah, blah. So I bet we extend that, but that one is slated to close on February 2nd.
Hmm.
Our online writers room, which is the TV writing program, is open for applications. That's a 12-week online intensive. And our writers retreat application process is open. Our early bird deadline is coming up, but that'll be open for a while. And that's the 5-day program where you get direct notes on your script and you're in a beautiful place, and you have time to think and write. Um, and I'm thinking if we have anything else open, producers lab, writers room, writers retreats. We're doing a new program. Um, the Manchester Film Festival in Manchester, England, has asked us to work with them to create a development program for emerging artists to focus on the business side. We
Hmm.
do a 2-day program in Galway. One of our partners in Ireland is the Galway Film Fleadh, and we do a 2-day program in Galway. That's not open yet for applications. That is in July, and that's 1 day on story and 1 day on the industry. And so Manchester asked us to do that. We didn't have time to do a 2-day program by the time they reached out. So we're going to do a 1-day program this year for them, and that's open for um, applications now.
That's wonderful. And where can people find you, find your organization, and learn more?
Stowstorylabs.org. You can usually find me at Woodlands, which is a coffee shop in Stowe, anytime you
Uh-huh.
want. And I will also say to people watching this, we had a fantastic fellowship with Michelle Meek's organization, newenglandfilm.org, but she moved on, and we don't have a fellowship currently focused on New England artists. We get a lot of New England artists to join our programs. I'd love to talk to someone that's interested in sponsoring a fellowship with us or other work for this community, because New England is a pretty special place. I like telling people, we do a lot of work in Canada, and I like telling people, my Canadian colleagues, that Vermont is almost Canada. And I'd say that for the whole region of New England. There's a lot of special stuff going on here. So anybody interested in partnering with us, just reach out. The website is stillstorylabs.org, and there's emails on there that you can reach out to.
Wonderful. We'll get the word out. So,
thank you. Thanks for the plug.
David Rocchio, thank you for joining us on The Hub on Hollywood.
Really nice. Thanks a lot.
Thank you again to David Rocchio.
Thank you.
Check out stowstorylabs.org if you're interested in that. I was so psyched to talk to them. As a writer, as an actor, and as a writer, I've got a couple of things that I'm writing right now, including a zombie short.
Nice.
So it was. It's nice to see that there are organizations like this that care. That care about bringing those new and unique stories to the forefront and developing people when it's so hard, for that to happen nowadays. So a shout out to them. And hey, if that's your deal, reach out.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's talk about, and wrapping up this show, movies that accurately or inaccurately depict careers. I came across a thread on Reddit, people talking about, for those in, maybe in aviation or the food industry or journalism industry business, like what are some shows or movies that you see constantly being accurately portrayed or just completely botched? Like, that is not how they do it. My dad, he had a career, he's retired now, but a career in law enforcement. So whenever he would watch, like, Law and Order, he would be like yelling at the TV, like that you don't do that, or what are you doing? Like, that's stupid, yada yada yada. And I thought it was always funny. And then as myself going into the world of journalism, broadcasting, reporting, there are countless shows and movies where, like, if my wife and I are watching something on the couch, I would be like, that's a terrible setup. They would never use that microphone. Or like, what are they doing over there? Like, they're way too close to the crime scene. And so there are shows that do it well, and then there are other ones where you're just kind of pulling your hair out. And so I thought it was a fun topic to kind of dive into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Starting with journalism, if we may.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I want to talk about medical shows, but starting with journalism, one of my favorite, what I feel is like one of the more accurate movies that I've seen depicting journalism and producing in particular is Morning Glory. Do you remember this movie with Rachel McAdams? Yeah. Harrison Ford. I think they do a really great job of showing the pressure that goes into producing, day shows like that, and I think it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate, the managing of the personalities, planning out the segments and things like that, and trying to balance the being relevant news-wise and the entertainment-y side. And I thought it was just really beautifully done, especially with Rachel McAdams and Harrison Ford. But of course, the best part, I think, James, was the ending of Morning Glory. I don't know if you remember it, but it's literally like Rachel McAdams and Harrison Ford walking off into the sunrise together, which is just my dream come true. So
walking into the sunrise.
As a news, or sunset, whichever, with Harrison Ford. As a news producer myself, and as someone who has loved Harrison Ford her entire life, like, I feel like this movie was just, it was my, that would be my dream life. That's all. It would just be my dream life, and I think it was really well done. So, Harrison, if you are looking for someone to walk into the sunset with, I am available at any time.
And please reach out to the Hub on Hollywood at gmail.com. One show that does, or one movie that doesn't accurately portray most news reporting out in the field, I would say, is Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. I was watching some of the clips again, and one scene that immediately stuck out was when Bill Murray and his cameraman are sent to, they're in Pennsylvania to go look at Punxsutawney Phil. And during that trip reporting over there, they are accompanied by a producer. And this is just a Groundhog Day news story, but there's no way they would send a producer with a reporter and a cameraman to go cover this story unless they were organizing the event. Hold on, but this microphone is going to die soon. Let me get a different microphone.
Okay, stand by. This is real journalism right here, folks. This is what you got to do. This is live and in living cover. Well, as live on tape, but this is how we get it done, because look at this. Look at this man with his backup microphone. That's what a real
This is
reporter
how
does
a real
right
reporter
there.
does it, with a backup microphone.
Man,
This is how the magic
I love
happens.
it.
But as I was saying, yeah. So this is like a generic kind of story that in the news industry. Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Punxsutawney Phil. It's not the story of the year or the century, and so they would only send like a camera person and a reporter. If a reporter at all, they may just send the camera person. But in this one, they send a producer as well to be like
For what?
For what? Like, they're not doing anything. And so that's one thing that kind of took me out of, like, they would not use that nowadays for sure. But even back then, I would argue a producer wouldn't be needed.
Yeah. You know who else is a terrible movie reporter, like
Who?
in film? Lois Lane.
Lois Lane's a terrible reporter.
She is a terrible
also
reporter.
Clark Kent.
Yes, they're constantly like
writing about Superman, and he is Superman.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So many ethical violations.
He's like, Superman did a fantastic job. He didn't, commit any war crimes,
awful.
but like international laws breaking. Like, no, you did. You did. And you're saying you didn't do it. Clark Kent, and like they're always going like the latest movie they talk about like on and off the record.
Yeah.
About
it's all bullshit.
It all is. And so the Daily Planet is not a good news organization. However, the Daily Bugle with J. Jonah Jameson and Spider-Man, that's actually pretty good, because if you watch back in the Raimi Spider-Man movies, they're like J. Jonah Jameson. He's a stickler. Like, he's kind of very cheap, but who isn't cheap when they're trying to get photos of Spider-Man? But he's also a very he has a lot of journalistic integrity, because the moment where like Green Goblin blows up into his office and demands to know who took the pictures, like he immediately does not rat out Peter Parker.
Right.
Like he says like, oh, he lies, because like who are you to be literally busting into my office and demanding who took these photos of Spider-Man and all this stuff. And so he actually protects Peter
J.
Parker.
Jonah Jameson standing up for the First Amendment.
And like he does get very opinionated, but like he sticks to the facts also.
Freedom of the press.
When Topher Grace's character, Eddie Brock, when they discover he's faking Spider-Man photos, they fire him.
Yeah.
And so like there's actual journalistic integrity at the Daily Bugle.
I love that. I appreciate that. But Lois Lane and Clark Kent, no. Bad.
Not good. Oh, who's also not good is in Die Hard, the reporter, Richard Thornburg. He's the guy that is demanding, this is my story. He gets the news van, he goes to the scene and whatnot. And he's trying to find out more about John McClane, because they find out this officer is like a one man. I know, the best name ever. Anyway, he goes to his wife's, Holly's, home and threatens the immigrant housekeeper with deportation unless he's allowed to come in and interview John McClane's daughter.
Yeah.
And that's how the bad guys find out about John McClane and his wife being in the same building. And so so this guy breaking every rule in journalism of especially threatening somebody to get an interview. That's not good journalism.
No. But you know what is a good an accurate representation of a bad situation in journalism is I don't know if you've seen the Office spin-off The Paper.
I have. I've not seen it, but I know of it.
Yes, and it's just so sad.
Yeah.
It's just stabs you in the heart, because it was this once famed paper that the height of journalistic integrity, and they had a massive newsroom of reporters and keeping everyone in check, and the government and blah 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 blah. And now it was reduced to a newsletter, and they had a subscription to the Associated Press, but it was a very limited subscription. It's whatever pictures I can afford and whatever story I can drag over into this sad little software and push out, to our followers. That's the whole paper. And it was a little too on the nose. It hurt my heart, because there has been that contraction of journalism across the board.
Yeah.
So accurate, but in the worst way.
Yeah, there's also this is also accurate, but not to the extreme. Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, where he plays the stringer in Los Angeles who goes out, and he's the guy that overnight channels would hire this person or buy their video for like a house fire or a police murder shooting crime scene, or an accident like on the freeway.
Yeah.
These people listen to police scanners and they'll go to wherever the action quote is taking place. And so this movie really did a very accurate job when it came to that line of work. And there's some people that are very I don't want to say shady, because Jake Gyllenhaal's character, sociopathic, crazy character aside, the other characters in there. There are people that are there. They're like, oh yeah, I'm just in it for the money, no matter what gore or blood and guts I capture. But then you have other people that are there. They want to do a good job. They're independent photojournalists, and they're listening to police scanners and getting out there and trying to get the story for the morning news. And so, but that showed a very accurate portrayal of somebody listening to scanners, going out there, driving them over there, and showing up sometimes before the police or the paramedics show up.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty accurate, I think. And again, Jake Gyllenhaal's chaotic, psychotic portrayal is the utmost extreme.
Do you have any more journalism ones, or can I move on to medical?
Let me see. I have maybe one or two. Let's see. Scream, Courtney Cox's reporter character, Gail Weathers, is like the worst reporter journalist. She gets punched in every movie for asking like a very inappropriate, offensive question.
As she should probably.
Yeah. There's also the bad tropes of female reporters sleeping with people to get information. Yeah. Let's see. Oftentimes, reporters or photographers are right next to a crime scene, like a body. Like, no, the police have you like 50 feet plus
and
behind
they're yelling at you constantly.
Or yellow tape. Yeah. So also, I'm actually very happy to kind of debunk this, at least for the stations I've worked with. In the whole, if it bleeds, it leads. And I can say this honestly, every station I've worked for, we've had maybe the counter belief in that. Now, there are, of course, stories where you have to go because maybe there's a fire, a house fire, and it's affecting a whole neighborhood, or it's a big, an extreme circumstance, and you have to go cover it. Or there's a shooting or something that's so terrible, like above and beyond, quote, what typical calls are for. Yeah, you have to cover those things. But for the most part, and I'm very fortunate to work for a station right now where they're like, we want you to tell stories that people, are caring about, are really, truly impacted by and whatnot.
News you can use,
News you can use. And so I can say, honestly, for every station I've worked with or interned for, I've never seen or been told or even like implied, if it bleeds, it leads. So I'm sure there are stations like that.
I've worked for one.
There are definitely stations like that, but I can say myself, I never worked for one.
It depends on where you work, but I did work for a station in Miami where if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Very sadly and unfortunately. Station. But
I'm going to bleep that. Future
you can
James,
bleep it. You
Future
can bleep
James,
it.
clip that.
Yeah,
but yeah,
please bleep it.
Yeah, go ahead. So next trope or...
Next trope, medical shows. There are a lot of really great, accurate medical shows. Exactly, right now. So The Pit being one of them that is getting, critical acclaim. Very good, very accurate. I feel like one of the least accurate, I don't even know how this is on television shows, but is super freaking popular, was House. You ever watch House? He just commits crimes every episode. It's just all medical crime and malpractice.
Ironically, Scrubs is also considered a very accurate show of how like it's like to work in there and how people build friendships and like relationships in a hospital.
Yeah.
So Scrubs is actually credited for being among the more realistic medical shows out there. But House, he's a psychopath.
Yeah. He's completely crazy, a dangerous liability to everyone, and somehow they just keep him around because he's just so quirky.
Because he's so quirky, and he somehow finds out that weird 1910s
but he's a great diastician or whatever it's called, diagnostician or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, he's like having his interns like dig up dead bodies, to get samples illegally from corpses in order to prove his point or whatever. And he's doing all of these terrible, illegal things to people, but it's okay because he was right in the end.
Yeah.
But sometimes he's not even, like, it's...
Yeah.
No, it's just very bad. It's very, very bad. No one
bueno.
no one who ever acts like that should, have a medical license or be practicing medicine. If you see that, please report it.
No.
But House is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So,
I used to
whatever.
work at a restaurant, and so the movie Waiting, in the restaurant industry, food industry, Waiting has a very special place in many of our hearts, because it is like, when you're working at the restaurant, you have different characters, and in that movie, you have different type of personality types, and you can point like, oh, that used to be blank, or that used to be blank, that used to be blank. And so I will say that we kind of have many similar characters in the restaurant that I used to work with at the one in Waiting, starring Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
However, and again, I can happily say that at no time did any food no food was handled improperly, unsafely. No food was spat in. None of sexual assaults or anything like that ever happened.
Yeah.
And so that part, in my experience, never happened at the restaurant I worked at. But the personality types in Waiting and the way you act with customers, put on a smiley face even with the person who is a complete, Karen at the table. Mm-hmm. And complaining, asking for 20 things unnecessarily, or just rude for no reason, or the birthday sing-alongs and all that stuff. And going back into the freezer to scream of oh my God, I effing can you believe table 32? Yada yada yada, and then come back out. All right, would you guys like some refills with that? You guys good? Great meal? How's everything tasting? Great. Yeah. So Waiting is a good food industry movie.
All right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best, just workplace movies possibly ever made, Office Space.
Office Space.
Office Space.
Yeah.
I mean, do we even have to say anything?
S tier, gold standard. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm curious. Let us know what field of work you are in or have been in, and while watching a movie or TV show, just kind of pull your hair out, saying that they would never use that equipment for this scenario, or that person wouldn't be doing that job. There's one last thing. The in the show Lethal Weapon, because there's a movies, but they made a show on Fox, which was a fantastic show for seasons 1 and 2. Anyway, everybody was losing their mind when the city attorney came to the police department. Oh no, everybody button up, and the city attorney is coming. And I'm watching this show, and again, it takes place in LA, and I recognize City Hall and the police department and all these places. Yeah. And I'm like, everybody's losing their mind over the city attorney. It's it's a city attorney. Why is everybody afraid, shaking in their boots? Yeah, he's a high official in the city, but he's not as powerful as everybody is making him sound, or scary as everybody is making him sound on the show. Yeah. So my wife and I were watching this, and I'm like, city attorney, just tell him to screw off. Get out of here. What are you doing? Yeah, not a big deal. So please let us know. Comment down below. What is your profession that they completely got right, accurately, or completely
terribly
butchered it and just are just making things up on the fly.
Exactly.
So comment down below.
Yes. James, we've covered a lot of ground.
So much ground.
Yes, this episode. But I think people should come back and join us next time.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have more great interviews. We're going to be talking about more films getting made here in New England. And once we thaw out of the 2+ feet of snow
crazy
that we are buried under right now,
insane,
the movies will come back too, and we will bring you casting calls and all that jazz. Where can people find the Hub on Hollywood?
You can find us everywhere. We're on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook. Are we on Facebook still?
Yeah, we're still on
we're
Facebook.
We're on Instagram, at Hub on Hollywood. You can also follow us on YouTube. So subscribe, tell your friends, anybody who is loving the film industry, movies, reviews, what have you. We cover it all. Share the Hub with them as well. You can also listen to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services like iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Wherever you are, we're there. You can't get rid of us. You can't lock us out.
We're standing right behind you.
Yeah.
Right
We're
now.
going to get you. So, thank you so much for hopping on the Hub on Hollywood.
In a
I
non-threatening
just realized I have
way.
my WBZ mic. That's funny.
Yeah, I know. You just, As you were talking about the journalism.
As I was saying great things about the station. So,
exactly.
Bosses, if you're hearing this, kudos. Well, thank you so much for hopping on the Hub on Hollywood. Join us next week, next time. And until then, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. Hasta la pasta.
Bye.